Sup nerds, today we have Leviamon, Belphemon versus 4 Sovereigns. Will won the die roll, so he's going first. He hatches Mother, plays Analog Youth, gets a Scourge on. And Chris hatches Dimimera, and then plays Matt to set Will to 2. Will promotes Mother. Mama D. Plays Ingermon for 7, draws 1, and then gets to play a dude. Plays Vajramon and Raising for free. By the way, buckle up. We are going to be utilizing the Chet counter in this match as well. So Chris activates Biting Crush for 8, discards Leviamon, blows up Ingermon. Ingermon on deletion draws a card, then Will draws return and promotes. Plays another Analog Youth for 2. And Chris probably should have suspended the mat. No reason not to. Would have given Will 1 less memory. So Will activates the 1-cost search card, gains memory back from Vajramon. He has the Belphemon and bottom decks the rest. Then he plays Izzy for 4, reveals top 3, gets to reorder them. It's not going to gain memory. Probably hardly ever. You have to reveal all black cards in order to gain memory off Izzy. Alright, so Chris evos in a Sayako and Raising. Finally drew a rookie. Evos in an Octo for 2. And then evos in an Asta to set Will to 2, but then Izzy should put him to 3. I think he catches it here in just a moment. Yep. Alright, so Will plays that dude for 7, draws, and then plays a dude in Raising. The end. I feel like there's no reason not to be aggressive with your level 5s in the 4 Sovereigns deck. Especially if you're going to hard play another level 5 to pass turn, because it's not like you can't threaten an ace if you still have a standing level 5. So Chris hard plays Syakomon, draws 3 and trashes 1. Remembers Matt this time, taps him to gain a memory. Plays another Syakomon, draws 3, trashes 1. Would choke Will to 1, but he has memory setter. See, he promotes. Evos into the chicken for 3. He swings security and then triggers the once per turn to blow up the Syakomon to give itself security attack +1. So 12k 2 checks. Survives both. Pretty dope. And plays another Analog Youth to pass turn. Adds the Antilamon. That's probably one of the best Devas you could possibly see in the deck. I would imagine that's one of the only ones you're running multiple of. That's the Recovery Alliance one. And Chris goes to 3 from his memory setter. So Chris promotes Asta. Plays Calling for 1. Deletes a Syakomon. Adds back Levia and another Syako. Okay. Triggers Matt, question mark? He's not discarding cards. Matt should not trigger. So that's Chet 1. Evo's into Leviamon. He gets to blow up the chicken and one of the other level 5s. He's going to be gaining 4 from Overflow and then another 2 memory from one of the other guys. So he's missed the extra 2 memory off of Leviamon's effect. Analogs do trigger. Also, they both missed. The chicken should have deleted the Leviamon as well. So he does go to 3 from Izzy and promotes the Mother D that he had to hatch with Analog Youth. I feel like it's correct just to play 1 D Reaper or 1 Mama D to avoid having Analog Youth kind of conflict with the rest of your strategy, because you really only need the 1 to get access to your early white options. After that, like, most likely it's just going to sit on one field the most of the game. And even if it doesn't, like, you'll probably see an Analog Youth or a 4 Sovereign or Deva. Eventually we're going to unsuspend our Analog Youths. There we go. The Thonkers. Alright, so we're gonna play the 4 Sovereigns option. It gets to reduce by 7, so he gets to play Fanglong for effectively 5 memory. He is going to bot deck 4 different dudes, or 4 dudes from trash to minus 16,000 DP on Chris's board. This would trigger Biting Crush if you wanted to, but the issue is because of the Fanglong's effect, Leviamon would die before Leviamon's effect would get to trigger. So you would just be wasting your Biting Crush at that point. So he's bot decking those 4. Leviamon is dead. Dimimera does trigger, draw 1, trash 1. And then he goes to 3 from Matt. Hatches Dimimera. Chris does have the out in his hand, Gift of Darkness. It might feel kind of bad to activate that to get rid of the Fanglong, but the Fanglong is very pressuring. I would immediately have activated Gift of Darkness if it were me. So Chris does Evo into Phascomon and Raising. Plays Siako, draws 4, discards 1. Trashes Rage Mode, does get to trigger Matt legally this time to gain a memory. Siako kind of conflicts with the Belphemon strategy because if your opponent goes wide, you're drawing a bunch of extra cards. But the deck is kind of clunky inherently, so like it helps you on your like super bricky openings. So Chris hard plays Astamon, triggers its effect to delete the Siakomon to Evo into Sleep Mode for free. Sleep Mode effects, Tuck Rage Mode, and now it's unaffected by Digimon effects, or unaffected by effects period, until the end of Will's turn. And at this point, because Chris drew so many cards off the Siakomon, like he's not going to be able to trigger Rage Mode for a long time. It's going to be really hard to get all those cards out of his hand. So Evo's into Belphemon for 3. He swings Fanglong. Fanglong is going to trash the top card of security and then check 1 at 15,000 DP. And there's no real reason to trigger Fanglong's when attacking effect because Belphemon Sleep Mode's unaffected. So the trash happens. Chris is going to trigger Sleep Mode to discard 2 cards to end the attack. He's going to discard Leviamon and Gift of Darkness. However, Fanglong is unaffected by Digimon effects, so the attack would still go through. Chris is going to trigger Astamon here. So that 15,000 DP check should have gone through. Chris plays Octomon back to the field, which is a mistake. Octomon is going to play a Fujitsumon token to Chris's field because there's so many Digimon in play. Oops. This would have been really good if there weren't so many Digimon on the field, because then Chris could have triggered his Biting Crush, but unfortunately, there's too many Digimon on the field. So they're going to utilize a die to represent the token. Oops, all berries. So Will's going to play that dude for 7, draw 1, and then play Leviamon and Raising. Sleep Mode's going to wakey wakey. Alright, so Chris promotes, beginning a main. Rage Mode is going to nuke all level 5 or lowers on Will's field. So he's going to pop that 1 Deva. He gains memories since his opponent has a Tamer. And then Hardcore Chet here, Analog Youth cannot trigger. Analog Youth can only trigger if you have sources in the Digimon that's deleted. So Chris should be at 3 right now. Belphemon is a blocker right now as well. So he swings security with Rage Mode, 14k, 1 check. It checks a Fanglong and dies. Sad. He Evos into Dragomon for 3. Dragomon does literally nothing versus Devas. They don't play any level 4 or lowers. So, the end. If Chris did have the 3 memory that he should have still had, he could have evoed into the Sleep Mode in his hand to set himself back up. Alright, so Chris does scoop here. That's super duper lethal on Will's field now. By the way, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And if you're interested in the Leviamon / Belphemon deck profile, the link will be in the pinned comment below. Alright, so Chris makes Will go first for game 2, which I would do as well. So Will hatches Mother and then plays Analog Youth. Grabs the Fang. Chris hatches Dimmy. Evo's into Gazi, Evo's into Octo. Then Evo's into Asta to set Will to 3. Alright, Will promotes Mama D. So Will plays the Searcher option. Searches top 3. Adds that and top decks the rest. Then plays Digimon for 7, draws 1, then plays that dude in raising. And apparently that's a delay option now. That's probably going to chill on the field for a minute. So Chris promotes Evos into Leviamon. It blows up the Digimon. Will does draw a card. Leviamon should gain Chris a memory here. So he should be at 1 memory. And we get another Chet here. Analog Youth does trigger illegally. Even if it could, Leviamon would still keep turn because Leviamon gains a memory as well. Alright, so Will promotes. Plays Analog Youth. Chokes Chris to 1. Just hatches Leviamon. Evo's into Gazi. Swing security, 13k, 2 checks. Will blocks and illegally triggers Analog Youths to steal turn. Dope. Leviamon should have gained a memory off the block as well. Will plays that guy for 7, then plays Antila after drawing a card. Alright, so Chris promotes Gazimon. And at this point, AJ was watching the game and he was like, wait a second. How did you trigger your Analog Youths? It's like, you have to have sources for that. So Will and Chris are both realizing that the Analog Youths have been illegally activated nearly every single time they were activated this match. Chris is reading Analog Youth for like the 5th time this match. Finally realizing it says that. There's a stipulation on it. So Chris swings Leviamon, 13k, 2 checks. So Will blast Evos into a Zulong. A Zulong bounces the Gazi. And then Will blocks with a Zulong. So it would max out. Would max out Chris, and then Leviamon does die from the Zulong effect. And the Analog Youths are illegally activated this time. Very cool. Did we trigger a Leviamon here? I don't think we did. Okay. Evo's into Astamon. And then Evo's into Leviamon for 5. So I will promote. Swings with Antilamon and alliances with Mama D. 23,000 DP for 2 checks. First check Gucci. Second check Gucci. Alright, so Will plays that dude for 7. Draws a card and then gets to play a dude to breeding. Alright, and then Chris triggers the Porcupine end of turn, draw 1, trash 1. Triggers Asta to play Scatter Mode for free. Hatches in Mirror at the beginning of his turn. He was in a Gazi. So Chris swings with Scatter Mode, 4k, 1 check. Begging to get aced, or Blast Evo on. Alright, so Will does Blast Evo into Belphemon. Check goes through Analog Youth. So nothing cool happens. So Chris swings 13k, 2 checks, Levia. First check goes through Belphemon, plays Antilamon, and Antilamon draws a card. And second check goes through. Chris Evo's into Octo and Raising. And then Evo's into Drago to set Will to 2. Alright, so Will promotes. He swings security with the Vika dude. Checks calling so it survives. Antila swings with Alliance over Leviamon. And then the Vike unsuspends because the Antila swung over the Leviamon. Antila should recover here, end of attack, since Will is at 3 or fewer security. Will swings again. Checks a Bite and Crush. That's pretty good. Chris trashes Sleep Mode. Pops Belphemon. Belphemon actually should delete the Scatter Mode here. So Chris should gain 4 memory from Overflow. And then Will gains 3 memory from Analog. Eisbon should be deleted, so it would be a draw 3, trash 2 for Chris. Will also should be hatching from the triple analog youth activation. That's a mandatory effect if you trigger them. So Will swings with Antila. It does survive. At this point, Chris actually looks over to me and says, "Please don't post this one." LOL. So Will plays the Fanglong option, plays Fanglong for 4 memory. He chooses not to activate Fanglong's effect to minus 16,000 DP to Chris's board, which is 100% a mistake, because now Chris can trigger his Biting Crush and actually get his Leviamon effect. So Leviamon comes out for free. He can't delete the Fanglong because it's unaffected by Digimon effects, but he definitely can delete one of the Devas. Yeah, popping that in Telamon is the best choice. And Chris should gain an extra memory off of Leviamon deletion. That Eismon should not be on the field. Chris should be at 4. 13k, 2 checks. First check is the Searcher option. Oh, here we go. Chris caught the memory gain off of the deletion. And Leviamon dies. So Will actually did block the lethal swing from the Octo with Fang, and then Chris swung for game with the Eismon scatter mode that actually shouldn't have been there. So super scuffed, but we are going to game 3. Alright, so Will makes Chris go first for game 3, makes sense. Chris hatches Demimera, Evos into Siako, then Evos into Porcupine. Will plays that guy, draws a card, then plays a dude. Chris Evos into Dragomon. They're getting close to times, they're playing a lot quicker. And then Evos into Leviamon. Remembers to gain the memory, that's cool. So Will promotes, swings, it dies. Chris should gain another memory here. Okay. I actually looked over, I was watching that, and I said gain the memory. I think that's the only reason he remembered. So Will plays Indramon, draws one, and then plays a dude. Chris hatches, Evo's into Gazimon. Chris should have activated the Porcupine end of turn to draw 1, trash 1. Chris swings and will blast Evos into the turtle, and that does stun Chris's board during his next unsuspend phase, and then both checks go through and Levi survives both. So Chris hard plays scatter mode, and then hard plays Astamon, deletes the scatter mode, and actually resolves the scatter mode effect before resolving the Astamon effect, which is actually in the middle of resolving, which is illegal. You need to resolve Astamon before you can activate scatter mode there, because it's all one effect to delete in the Evo. So yeah, another Chet. I mean, he had to do that in order to draw into the stuff. So Will promote, swings with Turtle, and then Chris ditches 2 cards to stop the attack. Astamon is optional, so he doesn't have to trigger it. Will swings with Synduramon, survives, and then plays that dude, draws a card, plays another dude, and raising. Chris misses the Porcupine end of turn effect to draw 1, trash 1. That is a mandatory effect. So he promotes his Gazi. He Biting Crushes, discards Leviamon, blows up the turtle. He should gain an extra memory. Okay, I was actually looking and said something. He gains 4 memory from Ace Overflow and then an extra memory from Leviamon. And then the turtle blows up the Leviamon. At this point, Chris remembers to trigger the Astamon. He should have triggered Demimera as well from the on-deletion. Will promotes. Maybe Chris was right. So he swings with Antilamon, alliances, 15,000 DP for 2 checks. Chris triggers Sleep Mode to discard 2 cards to stop the attack. Astamon to play Siako. Siako to draw 3, trash 1. Antila, end of attack, recovers. Will swings with the other guy, checks a Biting Crush. Chris discards Fascomon to blow up the level 5. Will plays another level 5, draws 1, and plays a dude. He actually can't play this Enduramon. It has to have a different name from basically anything Will has in player and trash. So that's another Chet. So Chris swings with Scatter Mode. It dies, draw 3, trash 2. So Chris plays Astamon for 7. Deletes the Syakomon to Evo into sleep mode for free. Triggers sleep mode to tuck rage mode. And he's basically just... this is turn 4. Or turn 3. This is the last turn of time. So Chris is just trying to survive. Which I think he just should have swung over Will's stuff. I guess he was afraid of Will blast Evoing. But if he didn't blast Evo on the first swing, he's not going to blast Evo. So Will swings with Synduramon. Chris discards 2 cards to stop the attack with Rage Mode. Astamon plays Syakomon. Syakomon draws 4 and discards 1. Chris actually has a second Astamon he could have triggered, but it is optional. So Will swings the other guy. Chris triggers the other sleep mode, discards 2 cards, triggers the second Astamon now. Astamon plays a scatter mode back out. And then Will swings Alliance, 15k, 2 checks. And then we'll just activate Heaven's Judgment to pass turn. This is the final turn in time, so they do end up in a draw 1-1-1. But I appreciate you guys stopping by, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content. Want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.